It is so great talking to my next guest. Pedro Munhoz is going to be back in action this time against another legend. He's fighting Dominick Cruz at UFC 269 on December 11th. Pedro, how are you, sir?
I'm doing really good, James. Thank you.
Hey, well, it's good to hear. There were some rumblings about you dropping down to flyweight. Now here you are fighting Dominick Cruz at bantamweight. So tell me how this all came together with you fighting Dominick Cruz.
Yeah, sure. So, bantamweight, that's the a division that I have been fighting my whole professional career. So, something that I'm very comfortable in making that way. Not easy, but it's definitely, it requires like, a little work. Um, s- I had some ideas like that back in those days, but and then, nothing too serious. And then after my last fight against Aldo, which I felt him a little bigger, a little stronger, and also the way that the fight, he weighed a little bit more than I did. So it's starting like, starting thinking the possibilities it would be if I would change division and fights with different guys. And I have been top 10 at bantamweight in UFC for the last 5 years, going to the sixth year next year. So I started thinking about possibilities like that, fighting different guys and just like a different challenge for myself, and but the same goal, to become a champion, become one of the best fighters in that division itself. And then while I was thinking, of course, I had I wanted to make my trip out of the PI. I was thinking of making my trip out of the PI to see, doing tests and see how my body is gonna to take if I decide to move it down like that. But while I was thinking all that, I got the opportunity through UFC to fight Dominick Cruz. Like I said, I always walking around 20, 22 pounds, above the bantamweight limit, 55, 57. That's my natural weight. So, and Dominick Cruz, a legend, you know, guy that has been fighting, WEC champion, UFC champion, actually someone that I, it's hard for me to see me like having a problem any other fighter, but Dominic in specific is the guy that we spent like a week in Rio. He went there to be the commentator. I was there as a guest in UFC a couple years ago, so we got to meet each other a little better. We trained a little bit, so he's a cool guy, nothing personal. It's just it's just about the profession itself. And so when I got the opportunity, of course I was very very happy to be able to fight another legend, another guy that um making the name for himself and for the UFC. And it was very exciting, and definitely it was something that for me, I don't need it. That let's say if I would going to fight a flyweight, I would probably need it a little bit more time for my body to adapt to the new division, but not in the bantamweight. Something that I have been doing my whole life. Like I said, it's not easy, but I never had any issues. So of course you know, I thought that was the right fight to do. That was the fight that makes most sense at the moment right now, for the fact that I'm a number 9, Dominique is number 10 or 11, I believe. And it's a big fighter, big name. So let's do it. December 11th, T-Mobile Arena. It's gonna be fireworks again.
Yeah, and it's pretty awesome. If you think of who you fought over your last couple fights, Frankie Edgar, Jose Aldo, now Dominick Cruz. I mean, what does that say about you with the UFC? They must think of you in high regard if you're getting these really important fights. I mean, that must feel pretty good that you got another legend on your resume that you get to fight.
For sure, man. For sure. That's like I said, I got very excited about it and have been fighting people for the last 2 years. Have been fighting people that I used to look up to, and former champions, legends, and Dominic is one more. So I'm very excited about it, man. So there was a there was a call that I got that I was not expecting, because it was right after my fight against Jose. And then, when we're literally able to say, okay, that's the fight that's gonna happen. So now I'm sure the fight's gonna happen. So, it was something really nice, to keep the focus on, to keep climbing the ladder and go towards to the goal, to be the best fighter that I could possibly be and competing against all these guys. So it's a huge honor.
And last thing, just before we talk about Dominic as an opponent, is the door still open to go to flyweight maybe down the line, or is that something you feel like with having this fight now that you might not go to flyweight in the future?
Could be. When I say that I was thinking of going to fly away, I was not telling official that I was going to fly away. There was a lot of rumors around out down there. First, I spoke with the podcast American Top Team, and of course, they brought it up and something that we were talking about it, and even in the podcast that was a while ago, I say that I am thinking about the possibilities to move down. Something that I have to make sure that I do everything right, because like I said, my natural weight is 155, 157 and sometimes. So it would be like more than a 30 pounds drop. So it's definitely something that I need to 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 give a little bit more time to myself to adapt to that. So and I'm always open for the bantamweight, that's what I have been fighting all these years, and I think it's a huge opportunity, and it's, let's say, it's less brutal in my body, regardless to nutrition, cutting weight, and all that. And another thing there, James, that it was a taboo back in those days. The bigger you were, the stronger it would be. But we have so many we have so many examples that it doesn't work like that. We see like great champions moving down to division and being successful, and the other ones not. So it's not something that's for sure. So now I need to realize that too. Thinking going to fly away is one thing, but literally making the work and making the effort, and dropping. So I have to see it. I have to see it. I don't think I'm a smaller bent away. I always make the way, but the last 3, 4, 5 pounds, it just feels it's just a lot, just for itself to thinking of to dropping another 10 pounds. It was kind of crazy, but like I said, I would definitely take the right decisions, with a professional around me to see if it will be, healthy that dropped. But I never said I would never gonna fight a bantamweight, especially with that opportunity, and being 18 pounds, 14 pounds right now overweight, it was something that I'm ready to go. And I have another 8, 9 solid weeks of training. So definitely I will be on fire that night.
Did you end up talking to the PI when you went there? Like, did you actually get yourself tested in terms of making the cut to flyweight, or did you never get that chance because you got the call for the Cruz fight?
Yeah, no, I was thinking and going right now by around Thanksgiving,
Oh,
thinking
I see. It
like,
was later. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah,
Okay.
later I was planning. I just came back I just came back from my last fight, so I was thinking and making the trip out there to Vegas. I'm in Florida here, so it's not like a too close flight. So I was planning and going there to spend some days there and see the numbers, see what we can do, and until then, I have a lot of time to to make sure what it was I really want. Fighting Aldo, he was felt him bigger, felt him super strong. But watching fights many times after that, and many times, watching the fight a couple times after that, and I also, had like a clear memory that I was not feeling the weaker guy in the fight. I just I just felt him a little more strong than the other fighters that I fought before, explosive, and he's just way like a few pounds more than me in the way of the fight. So which gave me the possibility to to be stronger and bigger in the different division. But there was an idea. There was you know
Yeah.
and we
Understandable.
still have a time to see what's the future is going to bring us.
Let's talk about Dominick Cruz, obviously former champion, 23-3 record. Style wise, how do you look at this fight from what you bring to the table to what he brings to the table?
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely a guy that is known by his footwork. Incredible fighter, great skills, um, all rounded, complete fighter, good striking, good movements, head, footwork, good wrestling skills. We got the opportunity to train a little bit, just grappling. Very good at grappling too. So it's gonna be a war. It's gonna be a fight with both fighters, which has a lot of skills. And I can't wait.
Yep, we're looking forward to it. Training camp, I know that's sort of getting underway right now. Who are you mainly working with as far as bodies in the gym? Who are some of your main training partners?
Yeah, we have a lot of people here in American Top Team. We have Adriano Moraes, which is a guy that can move. Really can moves a lot. Reminds reminds a little bit of Dominic is special. He can implement that style. We have Kyoji Uguchi, which is doesn't have the same style, but a guy which moves a lot. You know, we have a great wrestlers here, Danny Sabateo, Salguero. We have Cody Stamen, guy that used to wrestle at Penn State. So, we got a solid training right here. Very happy. The last four, almost I guess 5 years being training here in South Florida, living here and training American top teams is something that is definitely it's it's a blast, and I feel that it's still room to get better. I'm always motivated, I'm always training, and yeah, so the future is bright.
Good to hear, man. Do you know who will be in your corner? Obviously, we got a lot of time away here, but who's typically in your corner for your fights?
Yeah, it's Conan Silveira, one of my striking coaches, Anderson França, between him or Catel, another striking coach and good coach and friend of mine. Chad George, it's my buddy. It's a guy that we get along fight week, even though he's in California, me here. Always like to catch up and fight week, and we're always talking about strategy and training. So, most of these people, the people that always has been in my corners before, but but besides that, I train with like at least like 30 people here, solid American top team, including coaches, athletes, strength conditioning coaches, um, physiotherapy, so it's yeah, solid 30 people that I have on my team, which is, for which all of them is a part of my growing, is part of my success, and without them, I would not be able to perform the way that I do.
How much do you think inactivity plays into this fight with Cruz? And I mean, we've seen it before. He'll take a couple of years off and come back and get a really great win. But if you look at the last couple of years, he's only fought a couple times. You've been really active in your career. Do you think that will make a difference in the fight?
I think so. I think so. If we both fight healthy that night, I think the guy that stays uh, most active, has a little bit the advance, for timing, but not in that level. Definitely Dominic is doing all the job that he needs to take to the fight. You know, we follow each other on social media, so I see, he always training. And that's the type of fights that I like to go into it. With a hard mentality that it's gonna be a war. So in that way, it just make me a better fighter, a better person, and it gives me a lot of motivation to go in the gym and kill it every day.
How do you envision the fight playing out on December 11th?
Oh man, it's gonna be very entertaining. Very hard to catch Dominic with his footwork. It's gonna be definitely a lot of feints, a lot of cut angles. A lot of people. I'm hoping to be able to display a little bit more the wrestling and the grappling that I am, the wrestler and the grappler that I am. My fights, it's mostly standing up. Also my opponents too. That's the type of fight that they going into. It is not something that I go that, oh, let me take someone down. It's not like that. It requires a lot of timing. So Dominic is the guy that seems to engage a little bit more, you know, on wrestling and the grappling situation. So I'm looking forward to not to just avoid that, but definitely to scramble with him, to go after him, try to take him down to, to just so I can um, display and showcase different techniques that, I'm comfortable, things that I'm doing my whole life, and that my preview fights, a lot of people don't see that, which is the wrestling, the grappling. So in going to this fight, something that I'm looking forward, this time, those times that Dominic is gonna try to engage, I would just be ready to engage back and showcase my skills. And besides besides the kickboxing and striking, I have a lot to show there, more about my wrestling, and especially my grappling skills.
There's been a lot going on in your division. Obviously, at the top, we had Aljamain Sterling, unfortunately, have to withdraw from his title defense against Petr Yan, and now Cory Sandhagen steps in. How do you look at that fight? That's a really interesting matchup with Sandhagen. Some people felt like he beat TJ in his last fight. Now he's getting the title shot. Just your thoughts on that fight and how you think that could potentially play out between Yan and Sandhagen.
Yeah, that's a great match. That's a great match. I was very excited when I realized that that was the fight that was going to happen, Um, I was in doubt about, Aljamain Sterling coming back from a neck surgery to a fight such a short, notice, especially going to like a neck surgery. It's something that is not that simple, So I hope, he's rehabbing, doing his recuperation, and can be back, and but definitely that fight is gonna have right now. In the meanwhile, it's gonna be super interesting too. Cody Sandhagen, they had a great fight against TJ Dillashaw. You know, but TJ Dillashaw is hurt right now. He's also recovering from an injury. So I think it was fair. Cody Sandhagen, he was, besides TJ, he was the number two out there. I'm not talking about rankings, talking about overall.
Mhm.
Besides TJ, he was the next contender for sure, you know, to fight for the title. Besides that one will be, I believe, the winner between Rob Font and Jose Aldo.
Mhm. Who would you favor in Sandhagen versus Yan? I think the odds right now have Yan as the favorite. Do you agree with that, or do you think Sandhagen has the ability to beat Petr Yan in this fight?
It's gonna be an incredible fight. I was able to train, to see a little bit of the training for Petr Yan. He's definitely a guy that has a lot of skills. He's a really good fighter. Sede Hagen, I watch his fights against, I watch a lot of his fights, and he's the guy is kind of like very tall for the division with a lot of skills also. It's gonna be a tough match. I don't have a favorite for that one, but it's gonna be a hard match. Peter Yan hit really hard, um, but also Sede Hagen is very hard to hit him. For the fact that he's has a lot of more average, you know, and the inches, and like his leverage, overall 5'11", it's pretty tall, long guy against the PDN like 5'6", 5'7", like myself. She moves forward and needs that close distance to hit. I'm sure that he's not doing his training camp right here right now, but I'm definitely, I was able to see him a little bit of his training right here in the top team, very professional guy. So that's gonna be a fight that I am definitely looking forward to see, a very interesting match, styles match.
Yeah. No, it's going to be great. And you referenced it there. Jose Aldo, Rob Font, two guys you've both fought. How do you see that fight playing out? Because again, you fought both guys, and Aldo was in the last fight. Font was a few years ago. I think you're still the only guy to finish Rob Font. How do you look at that matchup?
Yeah, Rob Font, another long guy, for the division. Um, I'm the one that likes to get a little bit in the middle, close distance to exchange and things like that. So he Robbie pressures really well, throws really good jabs and a lot of feinting. A hard guy to take him down or to finish him. Has a lot of skills too. We're talking about, if you name me every single guy, number one up until the number 15 in the division, even guys outside the rankings, we're talking about the elite of the MMA fighters. So it's definitely that's gonna be an interesting fight too against Aldo. Aldo, one of the strongest fighter that I was able to fight in the octagon. You know, fought Font too, very long guy, good timing, hard guy to finish. Has a lot of good like striking skills. And yeah, another match. This is gonna be very interesting to watch.
And another bit of news that's come out, obviously some unfortunate news with Jon Jones getting arrested. Just, someone who has a family, I'm sure you saw the details of what happened after the fact. Just your reaction to that. I think fans are just really disappointed in this happening again.
Yeah, in reality, it's something that a lot of people out there is seeing that, but the way that I see, I don't know him in person, but I know a lot of people that know him and says how good a person he is. I don't doubt about that. It's kind of sad because, we sometimes we hurt the people that, we love the most. So sometimes we hurt people that, is next to us. I do believe that that's my point of view, that I'm not saying I'm right, I'm wrong, but I do think that he needs to take some time to deal with his traumas, with his own demons, because when when things like that happen in a certain time in our life, things that um could not be happy, things like that happen in life for a reason. But I do think that he's just tried to reach out there for a help, and nobody sees that, you know. And all the friends around, that's the ones that probably not understand how deep and how serious this situation could be, especially for someone that that he has alcohol issues, you know. And I do think that things like alcohol and stuff like that, when you have like a something that you need to heal, emotions, feelings, you know, it's definitely it's not gonna help you to take the right steps and to be the man, to be the father, to be the main figure for his kid's life. So I have a kids too, and I try always to. I'm not perfect. We're not perfect, but I always try to to do the right things so I can we can live by example, not just by words. We can live by example and in actions. You know, I'm not here judging him. I just hope that he get the right people around him in this moment to try to raise him up, to lift him up. I think that's the moment right now. He should not be distracting and getting another fight in training. I think that's the moment right now. He need to tap into himself, to his soul, you know, and see why, because if, you know, things like that is keeping happening very often, you know, it's not an accident. Things like that is keeping happening all the time, very often. Is definitely something that he needs to look into it. And
Yeah.
I just wish him the best and his family also, his little kids.
Back to you. How many more fights do you have left on your UFC contract? Do you know?
Yeah, I just signed my contract. It was a year ago.
Oh,
So
right. Okay.
yeah, that contract itself, it had a little bit more fights than usual. So I think I have 2 or 3 more fights left in my contract.
Good. Okay, well that's good. Yeah, I was going to say you keep getting fights, so obviously things are going well. And before we go, I know we've gone over time here today. You mentioned doing the American Top Team podcast. Has Dan Lambert tried to drag you out to one of these AEW Pro Wrestling shows? Have you ever been offered to go?
No, yeah, no, yeah.
Do you want to go though? Like I know some of the fighters, like I talked to Austin Vanderford. I know Andre Arlovsky's all into it. Would you want to go and do one of those shows sometime?
Yeah, why not? Why not? It's a great experience. It's definitely a time that we can see the family and people, they having a blast there. So I don't see why not.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Pedro, thanks so much for doing this, man. Really appreciate it. UFC 269, December 11th. Anyone you want to thank? Any sponsors, any social media? I'll give you the last word.
No, that's good, man. Thank you again. And it's always a pleasure to talk with you, my man.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.